What's going on, y'all? Hope y'all doing fantastic. How I got into cattle hauling? Well, actually, I never did haul any cattle. I made phone calls and emails for several months when I was looking to do something different other than a reefer, and nobody would there was no opportunities available considering my situation. The situation was I didn't have no cattle experience, and I didn't want to become a company driver, although I could have, but I didn't want to become a company driver and do it that way, so it just didn't happen. I would call people, email people, I would get a list, and I would just, see, so-and-so cattle hauling. I would see trailers going up and down the road, and they got their porch light on. That's the light. If you see a cattle trailer, and up at the top, usually has the hauler's name on there. Well, I would get to take names down while I'm riding up and down the PA Turnpike, and I would take these names down and call them, because obviously they're going to or coming back from the East Coast. So I live out on the East Coast, so I'm thinking, okay, well, how can I get in? But hey, it didn't work out. So all right, no problem. Hey, it is what it is, right? So I was like, well, being as though I can't get under a cattle trailer for some odd reason, well, not odd reason, but I didn't have the experience that they required. So I said, you know what? Opportunity presented itself. I said, well, you know what? Instead of me hauling cattle, you know what? Guess what? I'm going to raise some cattle. How about that? Now I'll get my experience on my own. I'll learn the mannerisms and the temperaments of these four-legged animals, and we'll go from there. So I went out and I bought some cattle. And then the funny thing is, now that I put the money up for the cattle, right? People heard what I was doing, and they were like, yo, man, I went in on that. So they started throwing money at me, right? I had investors, right? So I'm like, wow, look at this. And the same thing can happen in business, right? So that's just a little inside story. So I got the cattle, right? So now as I'm learning about cattle, and I'm thinking, here I am trying to pull a cattle trailer, make all this kind of money, right? So I heard a cattleman say, I'm listening to cattle conferences and on YouTube, online, what I can find. I heard this old cattleman, he's like 80 years old. If some of y'all are in the cattle business, you know who I'm talking about, right? I think he died. But he said, he was talking about the cattle business. He's like, and he just mentioned he made a comment. He said, you can, he said the cattle haulers, I'm just paraphrasing, the cattle haulers will, they'll take a 50,000 pound load of cattle. You pay them $3 a mile. They take them anywhere you want around the country. And I thought about that. I was like, wow. Do you know how much 50,000 pounds of beef is at market price? That's a lot of money. And here you are trying to get $3 a mile instead. So basically what I'm saying is, I may or may not have set myself up to become a shipper of this particular commodity. See, some people are chasing the commodity to haul, but other people are looking at the commodity and say, okay, I'm going to be a producer or manufacturer or even a private labeler of this particular commodity, to where this is where the actual money is, right? So that's what I did. So now I'm still it's a small scale operation. I only got 5. So I mean, and that's pretty much for freezer beef. But I know how I got my cattle experience, so I know how to work with cattle to an extent. I'm not an expert at it or anything like that. Another thing is, I was talking to another cattle hauler recently, and I asked him about the cattle business, and basically, hey, man, you got any local work and stuff? Yeah, I got some local work. He said, after he said all that, he says, right now I make more money, hauling my make more money hauling open deck freight. Oh, that's all I need to know. Thank you, sir. So that's a short 5-minute video, all over the place. But hey, there's some nuggets in there that you can probably pick up. And that's all for this one. We'll see you.